The North Bulldogs even their record and now at 1-1 after a 49-14 victory over Bryan Adams on Thursday night. And Coach Mike Fecci is with us now. Mike, what did you like most about your first win of this season?
You know, I think we came out a little bit flat, and I think what I really liked the most is that, you know, we talk to our football team all the time about if things aren't going the way you want, the first part to fixing that is recognizing that you got an issue, and then number two, then going and fixing it. That not only happens in off season, it happens in the course of a practice where there comes a point where you realize you're not doing what you need to be doing. Now you go fix it, and hopefully it's not to a point where it's too late to fix it. And I felt like we did that tonight. We came out pretty flat against these guys. And, you know, you look up first quarter, I believe it was 14-14, and then it was like all of a sudden, you know, they decided, all right, you know what, we need to just put our head down and go to work, blue collar it, and get after it, and they did that, and we were able to pull away. So I think that right there was a big plus for us.
We take a look back Thursday night at Ron Poe Stadium, the early kick, as is customary on a Thursday night at 7. Bryan Adams was able to take an interception 41 yards back to the end zone for a touchdown. Orlando Swift to put the Cougars up 7-0. Brylan Williams had an answer for that. He helped tie the score 88 yards on the ensuing kickoff.
Yeah, great job right here by Brylan showing the speed. I'll tell you, even better job by our guys understanding there's no need to block any of those guys right there, and you always worry about that on returns. But a great job by Brylan.
Yeah, Williams wasn't done in the return game. File that away for later. How about how your defense performed? You were able to knock out Bryan Adams quarterback Jalen Jordan.
Yeah, we were in the third quarter. We were able to get to him, and I thought we performed well up front. We ran our stunts we needed to run with good timing, and we were able to get some sacks is what we needed to do. And we blitzed quite a bit against these guys because we thought we could do some stuff. And there was times it was great like here. Then there's other times we know when you blitz you're susceptible to some big things. But for the most part, we played real well. Brylan makes a great open field tackle right here to minimize the short pass and went from there.
Mike, we saw the big play in the passing game earlier. Hunter Walling to Evan Jones, 49 yards, gave your team a 14-7 lead.
Yeah, it was a great job by Hunter of reading it. You know, Coach Walker did a good job calling the game, I thought. If stuff was there, we were doing it, and we were able to throw and catch a football like this right here. I mean, that seems simple. It's a 5-yard out, but it turns into a 15-yard gain, and it was there, so we went ahead and did it.
We saw Trey Smith's first touchdown run of the night. Randy Monsier with the catch there out of the slot. And Hunter Walling showing his wheels
yet again. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, you miss it. He's so fast. But no, he did a great job right there. He does a good job of reading stuff like that right there. Is his third read on that play. And it shows the maturity after 1 week of getting to his third read and finding it and making a big throw for us.
What do you like most about Monsier? He's a solid player for you.
I like the fact that if Monsier was 6'3", 200 pounds, he'd be the best football player in the world because he's just got a tremendous, tenacious ability to get after folks. He does not very big, but man, he is a competitive sucker, and he's a great kid.
Speaking of tenacious, how about Justin DeLeon with his second interception in as many games, setting up a short field?
Sure, I told him I was okay if he made a habit of doing that every week, and I wouldn't get mad at him if he intercepted a ball a week. But a great job, and he almost takes that thing back for us, and that's what I told him. I said, it's also okay for you guys to score on defense. But good job by him and our whole secondary for that matter. James Triplett right there making a great break on the ball.
What did you like about Triplett making his first start at linebacker?
He did a great job. He's a pretty athletic kid. You know, he runs the ball well. He's good in open space, like here he is again. And to play that position, you got to be a good open field tackler, and we liked what he did there for us.
Bryan Adams did have a 100-yard rusher on this night. Corey Walker, 16 carries for 113 yards, but other than that, nothing doing for their offense.
You know, that kid's a good player. He's a big running back. He's a physical running back. I believe this is Brylan's punt return. And we did a good job on him for the most part. He did have a couple runs pop on us, and when you blitz, like I say, that can happen from time to time. But a great job by Brylan here. I think that's the first punt return that we've had go back for a touchdown at North in, man, 5 or 6 years easy.
And what a block by Ed Garcia,
Ed
right?
Ed was cramped up, and I think Coach Pratt charged Ed $5 for a ticket right there on that one. But he was sitting there cramped up. It looks funny to see him sitting there on the ground. But
poor Ed Garcia.
Yeah, both calves cramped up on that play.
That's it. Well, he did have a front row seat for Williams' punt return, a kick return and a punt return. Just what you imagine for Brylan Williams. Your defense comes up with another interception, really a feeding frenzy at this point.
It gets to a point where they just can't wait for people to throw the football because they feel like they're going to pick every pass off, and you know that's the kind of the way that they play, and we got to continue to play that way this week and for the rest of the season.
We saw that running game. Trey Smith takes it in 3 times. The sophomore scoring. Selwyn Smith had 1 touchdown run. You want your running game to crank up like that, and it's the first time this season you've been able to see that. Trey Smith, 70 yards on 19 carries.
Right, and it was the exact opposite last week. Selwyn ended up with more carries than Trey, but again, you put the two of them together, we clipped the 100-yard mark, and they both were able to score. And it's no rhyme or reason to how we're doing things. We just throw a kid out there, and whoever's hot, we roll with. And it was nice for Trey to get in the end zone. I was happy for him. Now that he's done it, we expected more.
About Bryland, in the first game against Boyd, I could almost see through his headgear. You could sense the frustration on his face because Cameron DeSalle of Boyd was booming it through the back of the end zone, not allowing Williams to take it out. And he finally was able to get his hands on the ball, and he seems like such a special player in the open field. We saw that as a sophomore when he was playing quarterback for you.
I think, and Brian and I talked about that on Saturday. I said, I was kind of joking with him. I said, once you do that, usually people don't kick you the ball anymore. And he said, yes, sir, I know that. But as we talked the other day, hopefully if Justin can get one, or Trey Smith, if he's back there, if one of those guys can take one back, I mean, they got to kick off to you. And very few people have a kicker like Boyd does that can consistently, time after time, not only kick it out of the end zone, but out of the end zone in the air. And hopefully, we'll get more out of that. And it was good for him, and I was happy for him.
Mike, you wrap up non-district with the Denton Broncos, a playoff team from a year ago. What do you see from Randy Patskowski's club?
They're very good on offense, I think. I think that their quarterback, who's a returning kid, has gotten bigger and throws the football extremely well. We saw him on video off his back foot throwing 60 yards in the air. He can really throw the football. He runs the ball well. They use a lot of kids in a lot of different packages, and they're going to formation you a lot, and they're going to come after you. Coach Pats is a very, very good offensive coach. So our defense is going to have to play really well defensively. They're kind of a combination between what Boyd does on defense and what Brian Adams does on defense. So that's going to hopefully be to our advantage because you're going to get two different type of looks from them, but with the same kids. So we can't personnel, so we just got to be ready for it.
You bring up Denton's quarterback, the appropriately named Denton Hudspeth. That's Denton spelled with two T's. He passed for 100 and ran for 100 yards against R.L. Turner in their win this past weekend.
When you watch the kid play, and we were able to, luckily, we were able to go watch them live Friday night, and you can see so much more when you watch a game live than when you do on video. And what I mean by that is how they carry themselves on the sidelines. And that kid's the leader of their football team. He's very, very confident in what he's doing, not a cocky confidence. He's very confident. He believes. The kids believe in him. And it's going to be a tall test for us, and we're going to have to find ways to get to him. And when we do, wrap him up. He's a big kid.
What do you think about going on the road for the first time this season? It's something that obviously you'll have to get used to. In fact, looking at the schedule, 3 of your next 4 are outside of McKinney.
Exact message I told him yesterday. I said, guys, you're going to have to go learn how to play on the road. This is how you do it. That's what non-district's about. I said, and if we do things like we want to do, we have to play on the road in the playoffs. And I'm excited about it. I like playing on the road, to be honest with you. I love Ron Poe to death, but I like playing on the road because I think it's a little bit different, and our kids tend to focus a little bit more when they're on the road, strangely enough, as you would think it'd be the opposite. But they tend to focus a little bit more, and they get to go play someplace they've never played before. And, it's Denton's homecoming and all that good stuff. And Denton's stadium that they play, it's a neat stadium. It's right there in the neighborhood. It's real tight. It's real compact. It's kind of small schoolish, but it's a neat atmosphere, and we'll be excited about it.
Right there on Fulton Street, for sure. Is it overrated these days when you're scheduled for homecoming? Is that as big a deal as it used to be?
It's not, and here's the reason why. Because when you go to look at your schedule, your last home game is always going to be senior night. You're going to have to do a teacher appreciation night. You're going to have to do some other type of night, and when we're not going to play homecoming against an inner city. We're not going to play McKinney for homecoming or Boyd, and we're not going to play on a Thursday night as a homecoming game. So really, you are pretty limited for the most part. Like I know I was, and as I was looking at Patskowski's schedule, it's the same thing. He didn't pick us because he thought he was going to beat us. He picked us because that's the only night he has left. That's a Friday night, and you don't want to obviously do homecoming the first week of school or anything like that. So no, it's not. It's different now, I think. But I still tell our kids, hey, they picked you for homecoming. That they don't.
Yeah, you can frame it however you want to your team, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, Mike, best of luck this week. We'll see you.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.
Mike Fecci, head coach of the North Bulldogs. They are heading west to face the Denton Broncos. An early 7 o'clock kick on Friday night.